water ready, right?
Okay, we can start. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Daniela Virgilio. I'm Vice President of IsITT, the Italian Institute for Tourism for All, and I'm also an accounting tour operator at DMC here in Piedmont. And I have the pleasure to direct this session, Good Practices of DMOs. Today, we will hear four excellent presentations that show how destinations are working on accessibility and inclusion. The first speaker is Wendi Kane.
Hi.
Hi, Wendi.
Hello.
Wendi is a tourism development professional from Northern Ireland. She leads the Accessible and Inclusive Tourism Program at Belfast City Council, co-designed with disabled people and industry partners. Wendi, can you tell us how this program has changed businesses in Belfast City and what impact it has had on the visitors' experience?
Yes, well, I'll talk you through the program through the presentation, but really it has led to pledges from businesses to do something different, whether that's small changes or big changes, to make their business much more accessible for visitors to the city. In terms of the reach, it's brought more people. We've got evidence that more people are coming to the city with disabilities, and the satisfaction surveys prove that the enjoyment of the city has increased greatly.
Okay, thank you so much. Now you have your time to present your work.
Okay, well, hello everyone. It's lovely to be here in beautiful Turin, Italy. I left yesterday morning at 1 o'clock from Belfast to get to Dublin to get to Italy in the storm Amy, so it was horrible. And it's lovely to come to the sunniness of beautiful Italy and Turin, so it's great to be here. Just a bit of a descriptor of myself. I am white, female, long dark hair. I'm 5'6", but only in heels. I'm wearing a red suit, blue top, and black boots. So, get into it. Oh, sorry. There's something wrong here. Sorry. Back. Back. You go back to start. Yes, play again. Oh, it's going the wrong way. It's going the wrong way. Can it start at the beginning again?
All'inizio come si fa?
Sorry.
Okay.
Am I pressing too quickly?
Yeah.
Okay, so delighted to be here. As I said, it's great to have been invited to talk about the Belfast Accessible and Inclusive Tourism Journey. We are quite new to the programme. It's only in its 4th year, so and I hope that this presentation shows that we're making good progress on really trying to achieve those objectives of making Belfast a really truly welcoming city for all. The two ladies,
in that direction. Okay, when you have to change the slide, you have to.
It's that direction.
Yes.
Sorry, excuse me. Okay, so I'm leading on the Accessible and Inclusive Tourism Programme. As Daniela said, it's co-designed with people with disabilities and the industry. It embeds accessibility leadership into the lived experiences and it's targeted business support. And the two ladies in the wheelchair are two young ladies in front of our beautiful City Hall in Belfast. So a bit about the strategic context. The community plan for Belfast is called the Belfast Agenda, and it's got some very definite ambitions about growing inclusive tourism. One of the main priorities is that it wants to be a compassionate city and a city that people dream to visit. Two supporting documents that my team have produced has been the 10-year inclusive cultural program called A City Imagining, and also the 10-year Make Yourself at Home tourism program. There's some key milestones along the 10 years of those two plans. Number one was to achieve a UNESCO City of Music status, which was achieved in 2018. The second was to have a year of culture in 2024, that was a year of culture for all. And in 5 years' time, we're going to open the second biggest tourist attraction in the city, called the Belfast Stories, second since the opening of Titanic Belfast in 2012, £100 million investment into the city. So underpinning the Make Yourself at Home tourism plan, accessible tourism was seen as something that the city needed to support and progress and develop as a bespoke programme. So I'll skip over this one because a lot of you will recognise some of these objectives. To motivate tourism to be accessible, to improve and develop tourism products to meet the requirements of people with access needs, ensure that staff are access aware and have skills and knowledge to meet the requirements of people with access needs, to have quality information, that accessible facilities and service that it's detailed and accurate. And number 5, to increase consumer awareness of accessibility initiatives and accessibility of tourism products. So lived experience and peer learning, something which was really popular. I don't know if anybody in the room is aware of living libraries. Put your hands up if you do. No? So the concept of living libraries is whereby the industry came together and borrowed a human book. And those human books had a range of disabilities. And it was such an impactful session whereby those people from the industry were able to meet on a one-to-one basis somebody with a disability. And it was really emotional. And the people that came back from it was 100% of participants reported greater confidence in communicating with disabled visitors. So very impactful, intimate, but very impactful. In terms of training and skills development, I worked with our lived experience team to develop 6 new training modules that were free for the industry to access on any given time. Very successful. Some reports were that businesses were starting to ensure that people that were coming into the business inducted and took on that training. And all of that training is available for anybody at any time, and it's on our Visit Belfast site as well as Belfast City Council site. And I can also share with you any links or anything if you want to after I finish this presentation. We also created for the consumer market video itineraries, and they were using different segmentations that we would be trying to reach out to in Northern Ireland. The 3 that I'm going to show to you in this video is of a family market, of a social Instagrammer, and also of a culturally curious segment market.
48 hours in Belfast with Lorcan. Hi, I'm Lorcan. I'm a 12-year-old boy with red hair. I have autism, and my 15-year-old brother, Oshin, also has autism. With our mom and dad, we are going to show you some things with 48 hours in Belfast. Tonight we are staying in the Titanic Hotel, which is in the Titanic water area of Belfast. The hotel is very fancy and decorated like the inside of a ship. After dinner at one of the refurbished drawing rooms in the hotel, we headed out to W5 in the Odyssey complex. W5 stands for Who, What, Where, When and Why, and is an interactive science museum. There are 5 floors to explore and is great fun for all the family.
24 hours in Belfast with Margaret. Hello, my name is Margaret. I'm a 68-year-old blind woman, and with my friend Kate, we are going to show you 24 hours in Belfast. Recently restored to its original Victorian design, the tropical ravine houses plants from all over the world. Some doors are automatic with level access throughout and an accessible lift and toilet to the lower floor. There are interactive panels throughout the ravine. Kate was describing to me the life cycle of the fern embossed in bronze, which was really nice. I especially like the recorded sound design of tropical birds, which make the plants feel at home.
Hi, my name is Talia. I am a 24-year-old girl with cerebral palsy. I am a communication device user, and I use a power chair to get about. I want to show you some things that you could do with 24 hours in Belfast. Common Market is a functional space in Belfast's Cathedral Quarter. It has level access to a large open room and is very easy for me to move around. The accessible toilet has a sufficient space with drop-down bars and a small accessible sink. Common Market has a bar and a selection of food vendors, all local businesses with a wide variety of food from all around the world. How would you spend 24 hours in Belfast?
So that selection of the 5 videos that we've produced, and Lorcan has become a superstar in Belfast, and also Talia has as well. They were very much designed to showcase authentic experiences from our lived experience team, so that when visitors see that, they can actually relate to that and say, oh, if this is something that's come from the people that live in the city, then I really want to visit. That's thrown me because I didn't know that was coming up. What I didn't get to mention before the videos came up was that this has been a number of stages. Year 1 of the programme was really research and scoping. So it's a lot of research with our industry, with our policymakers in terms of their knowledge of accessible tourism and what barriers they felt that might entail. There was a lot of thinking that it was all about physical access, and there would be a lot of money entailed in making pledges to change their business, but that it actually wasn't. In year 2, I established a working group with Tourism NI, with Visit Belfast and with Titanic Belfast and the Northern Ireland Tourism Association. So it really was a collaborative working process to ensure there was no duplication, that we could maximise resources. And that's which then led to the recommendations in the programme that I'm talking you through now. I have no idea what's the next slide, because that is not what I expected. Do we know where we are? Here we are. Okay, that's more like it. So just a rundown of some of the parts of the programme. Living library sessions that I explained earlier. We also have access and inclusion grants that's actually for capital investment into tourism businesses and cultural venues to do interventions such as electric doors, accessible doors, and changing places facilities. The Gig Buddies programme is working with a arts venue in Belfast to link up volunteers with people with neurodivergent issues and disabilities. And then our masterclass series was a number of masterclasses that were deep dives into communicating with people with visual impairments, autistic visitors, and sign language users. They delivered 6 in total, 1 exclusively for our own staff and the council. 3 had a single focus on communicating with people with visual impairment. The results were 77% attendance by 56 people from 26 organisations. 100% of people enjoyed the training. So,
Titanic Belfast.
My name's Emer Carney and I'm the Associate Commercial Director at Titanic Belfast. At Titanic Belfast, we are a visitor attraction for everybody, so it's really important that we have all of the facilities and all of the things that people need whenever they come to spend a day here. The Purple Pound in the UK is worth about £250 billion, and it's definitely an audience that we don't overlook. We really feel it's so important that people with disabled and access needs, that they really have the equal opportunities to enjoy great days out with their family, to create those lasting memories, and that we really want to make sure that they can do that at Titanic Belfast. Belfast is known as being a welcoming city, and it shouldn't be any different for our disabled guests. It's such a perfectly placed destination in terms of it's already really compact, it's easy to get round, and we have such amazing bars, restaurants and facilities here. So we really need to make sure that Belfast is promoting itself and making sure that we are seen as a really accessible city. Visitor attractions like Titanic Belfast are already leading the way in terms of what we can do to make sure we really embrace everybody that wants to come to the attraction and make it accessible to them, and Belfast is perfectly positioned to do that as well. Titanic Belfast is a relatively new building. We only opened 12 years ago, so we were very fortunate that the building was accessible from the minute go. But we make sure that we're constantly striving to improve on that and to enhance our facilities here. We're currently putting in a changing places facility to really make sure that we are keeping up with what our accessible guests need. But it's also really important for us to make sure that our staff interactions and our staff engagements are there. So we do a lot of training with our staff. It could be through dementia, it could be through autism, whatever those needs are, we make sure that our staff feel fully supported to be able to engage and make their experience as good as it possibly can be. We have a lot of initiatives, including wristbands for guests to be able to identify themselves if they do need some special assistance. We also have all of the hearing loops and all of those facilities that people with accessible needs would expect when they come to a world-class visitor attraction like Titanic Belfast. But I suppose the key thing is that we don't rest on our laurels. Yes, we have an amazing business and an amazing venue, but we need to make sure that that is followed through in terms of the experience that the customer gets when they get here, and our staff and the training and just that wider awareness piece is really crucial to that, and it's something we take very seriously.
So that was just an example of one of the case studies that we produced as a video to showcase to the industry and allow learning from peers to happen across the city. That was Titanic Belfast, but we also took examples of a pub venue as well as accommodations. There was a series of videos that the industry could get inspired and think how they could change. So conferences and awards, again, peer learning, really important. Part of the program, I wanted to ensure there was an annual event that happens every year to not only inspire and bring activists and disabilities together and bring industry leaders together to learn from best practice. And it would become like a pledge, a milestone in the year to learn from what we've achieved to date, so that it would be an annual event. We had in the first year wonderful Ross Calladine, who was there, who I think I'd stalked you, Ross, to get up on the stage. You came along, and we had Sinead Burke, who's a wonderful activist in disabilities, from represents a company called Tilting the Lens, and we had our second last year. And since then, it's met with over 200 delegates have been inspired, and it's led to changes, pledges during those events. I wanted those events to attract the industry leaders, decision makers, because I very much believe that whenever you get the top of the organisation committed to accessible and inclusive tourism, it filters down to every part of the organisation and to the faces on the ground and the people that actually meet the visitors that are coming through. Only last year, we launched our first Embrace the Inclusive Spirit Awards, which was unprecedented. We received over 300 nominations. And this was to support and recognise good practice and celebrate what's happening, because as we could see, there was a lot of work to do to develop accessible tourism, but also a wonderful lot of best practice. We should celebrate those ones that are doing their best to make that happen. So we'll be having our third annual conference on the 17th of February next year. Looking forward to that, and some really interesting speakers lined up, and launching the next Inclusive Spirit Awards. The results and impact of all this has led to put over 200 pledges for positive change, training, facilities and language. Small businesses embedding inclusive training into their staff inductions. Businesses adapting communications and services. And awards and PR, raising profile and consumer awareness. And that's just a picture of the first Inclusive Spirit conference. So systematic and sector impact, what's it meant? So in terms of our partner organisation, Visit Belfast, they've adopted inclusive training into its core offer and has also commissioned new photography of people with disabilities, so that in their mainstream marketing campaigns, there will be evidence and visibility of people with disabilities. It's that if you see it, you can believe it, and that's what they truly believe in terms of the messaging. Tourism NI, our partner organisation, has now integrated our e-learning, our videos into their national e-learning campaign. They've just recently, back in May, launched their own toolkit, and that has been released out to the regions and out to the rest of Northern Ireland. So they've really kind of been inspired by the leadership that Council has led in terms of accessible and inclusive tourism. It strengthened the links to inclusive employment and wider city strategies. And it's a model that's adaptable. It's really anybody could, use our model and adapt it to their own destination. So what were the challenges and next steps? For me, we've got a whole suite of wonderful inclusive tourism training videos and toolkits that we need to market and continue to promote to the industry to make sure that they encourage their staff to undertake those learnings. There's always striving to elevate Belfast's position. We can't control the journey, and we would really want to see the visitor journey being accessible and inclusive at every stage of that journey, from it being learning about the destination to choosing how to travel to that destination to actually being in the destination itself, and then after they've been there. So how can we work with the transport providers to make that happen? Accessible transport for Belfast continues to be an issue, particularly in terms of private transport and accessible taxis, and there's various reasons for that. So it's something we continually have to look at and see what we can do to make that better for everybody. And the importance of the lived experience is they have to be part of the programme. We work with the lived experience team to make sure that people with disabilities are collaborating at every stage of this journey in this programme, and that it really is their input. If it's they need to be completely informed because it's part of the journey. And as I said, systematic changes is about if more people with disabilities are actually employed in the tourism industry on the boards of organisations, it's better for everyone. In terms of going forward, we've just launched back with coinciding with World Tourism Day, the inclusion voucher scheme, which is small little pots of money that we will distribute to businesses through an application process to allow them to make small interventions to design their own bespoke training. We find from some of the master classes and the training we organised, sometimes it's difficult to release staff. So this is a way to bring training to the businesses rather than asking them to come to the business, again, being more inclusive and accessible. We are looking at developing an inclusive tourism champion programme whereby those people who are passionate about accessible tourism come together and encourage people businesses, staff to go to either the seminars, the training, whatever it might be, and to advocate accessible tourism to key leaders and bodies. Learning from today, from international best practice. I'm really looking forward to the rest of this conference. Delighted to be involved and to see so many people committed to accessible tourism. It's just so inspiring. And building towards 2030 and an inclusive tourism action plan for the city. Just in closing, nothing about us is without us. And just delighted to be here. I have been new to this programme and I've become so passionate about what it's all about, because at some stage, every one of us will have a disability, be linked to someone with a disability. Particularly for myself, my own personal journey, it was my dad, sadly died last year, and seeing him in his elder years, less mobility, and it made me just know that every one of us could walk out the door and become somebody with access needs. So thank you for your time. Sorry about the glitches at the beginning. And if you want to talk to me at any stage during the conference, please do so. Happy to talk to you and look forward to meeting you all further. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendi.
Thank you.
If you have any question, you can do them.
Yes. Any questions?
Okay. So thank you again, Wendi. Please, Axelle. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. Hi, Axelle. Axelle Brygo. She comes from Belgium. She works at SXI, the digital accessible platform for all, based on the really accessibility of places. Axelle, could you tell us how the accessibility of places is actually assessed? For example, through specific evaluation forms, and how do you work with local stakeholders in this process?
I was not expected to this question, so I need the help of my team.
You can also explain it through your presentation.
Yeah.
If you want.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, you can answer through your presentation.
This one?
One? Yes. Okay. Direction. Okay.
So, hello everyone. My name is Axelle and I'm a communication and project assistant at IsITT. I'm here today to introduce our missions and services. So, let's go. First of all, IsITT is a non-profit organization based in Belgium. We are the only official partner of Tourism Wallonia and Diavik, and we are the only accessibility auditing organization recognized by the political authorities in French-speaking Belgium, so in the south of Belgium. We have three big missions: the evaluation, the information, and the consulting. Okay, sorry. Our main mission is to verify the level of accessibility of places open to the general public. To do this, we work with 6 accessibility consulting companies in Wallonia and in Brussels, so in the south of Belgium, as I said it just before. Those consulting companies are licensed by IsITT. So we have Access & Go ABP, AMT Concept and SNK in Brussels, Atingo and Plainpied in Namur in the south of Belgium, and Passmuraille in Mons in the west of Belgium. Our target audiences for this evaluation are tourism operators, event organizers, building managers, project developers. So you can contact IsITT because you want to know the level of accessibility of your place. How does it work in practice? First of all, an audit is carried out. So it means that the consulting company carries out an inventory of the accessibility. He will take a lot of measures to compare them with the IsITT criteria. Then with the other consulting companies that will meet in a committee to define the accessibility levels of the place. And finally, IsITT certifies the accessibility level of the place by type of disability. So an operator who is certified by IsITT means that IsITT has verified the accessibility level of the place and informs the public with special needs. So it doesn't mean at all that the place is fully accessible. This may not be the case, but it means that IsITT certifies the level of accessibility, and this is why we talk about certification. Anyone can be audited and certified by IsITT. We fight against self-declaration because often operators want to do the right thing by informing about the accessibility of their place, but they don't always realize that the small details make all the difference. For example, if a wheelchair user has been on the museum website that there is an adapted toilet, she will expect to be able to use it, which is normal, of course. But often she's not be able to use it because there is not enough turning space, or the transfer supports are not at the right height, and so on. Therefore, the customer will not have a good experience and he will give a bad publicity, of course. But if, on the other hand, he has all the necessary information about the accessibility, he will be able to prepare his trip in the best way. And that's what we want with this certification. In other words, thanks to the Axelle audit, we deliver reliable and verified information. And this allows people with special needs to prepare their trips in complete safety. We inform 7 different disability groups, wheelchair users, people who have difficult to walk, blind and visually impaired people, deaf and hearing impaired people, and people with intellectual disability. How do we inform these people? We have 4 different ways of communicating. The first one is on our website. Each certified operator has an information page listing the facilities of the place and the possible difficulties that may occur on site. Oh my God. Okay. Here is an example of an information page. This is the Auto World Museum in Brussels. So at the right side, you have a description of the place. And on the left side, you have some promotional pictures. You also have on this information page when you click on the disability of your choice, you can see the strength and the possible difficulties on place. You also have the consulting company who carried out the audit, the certification validity dates, and some technical pictures that show you the different developments of the place. In terms of certification validity dates, the validity period of a certification is 3 years. The purpose is to ensure the reliability of the information. After these 3 years, we get back in touch with the customers to encourage them to renew their certification. And if the customer refuses, the information page is not available on our website anymore. We also communicate with the certification visual. It must be displayed on the front door of the place, on website and on communication materials. So this certification visual is a QR code that links directly to the location's information page. On this page, you can see 3 different levels of accessibility. Accessible, you can come alone. The place is fully accessible. Accessible with occasional assistance, you have to come with someone. Any difficulties can be overcome with the help of your companion. And be careful, special features. There are some difficulties on site, so you have to read the attention points, and depend on what you read, you will decide whether or not to go. Oula. Sorry. Okay. Our third communication channel is our social networks. A slide is missing. Okay, it's okay. We are very active on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, so don't hesitate to follow us. We also have some videos on our YouTube channel, where we talk about our projects, new certified operators, and we try to make the most accessible videos possible so they can be understood by each public. And those videos are audio described, translated into sign language, subtitled, and with contrasted fonts. Fourth and last channel is our professional network. Indeed, we communicate with all our partners, of course. So we have seen our 2 first missions, the evaluation and the information. So now I will talk about the consulting. Operators who want to go further can request recommendations by type of disability to maximize the accessibility of the place. So here is an example of a page from the recommendation report. It shows the initial layout, in this case, the ramp. Recommendations are given based on this initial ramp, so a technical data sheet on how to create the ramp that will comply with the accessibility criteria. Why get certified by Axelle? People with special needs are tourists with the same purchasing power as any other tourist. They want to travel like everyone else. So by offering them an inclusive and high quality destination, you are part of a sustainable and quality approach. And obviously, you will have economic benefits and benefits in turn on image. What does Axelle offer you? The promotion of your certification and the highlight of your efforts on our website, our social networks, and our videos. The transmission of information to partners and people with special needs. A training offered each year on the theme of disability during the Axelle Day. And tools to help you communicate about your facilities and your certification. Now I will talk about our methodologies. Our greatest strength is our ability to analyze different types of places using our different methodologies. As you can imagine, we don't analyze a building, an event, or an outdoor location in the same way. First of all, our criteria are based on legislation. And as our country is a little bit complicated, we don't have the same legislation in Wallonia as in Brussels. Our methodologies are created for and with people with special needs. They validate the criteria according to their needs. We can therefore analyze the accessibility level of buildings, whether they are tourist or sports buildings. This can include sports centers, accommodations, restaurants, museums, cultural centers, and so on. And today we have approximately 320 certified buildings in Wallonia and in Brussels. And believe me, for our little country, this is really not bad. We can also analyze events like festivals. We support the organizers from the very beginning of preparation, advising them on how to make the necessary arrangements for people with special needs. And last year, we certified about 20 events. By the way, I forgot to mention that the certification validity date of an event is not the same as a building or an outdoor location. An event certification is only valid for the duration of the event. And once the event is over, the information page is archived on our website. We can also certify bike paths in the countryside or in the city. And currently, 30 bike paths have been certified by Axelle in Wallonia and in Brussels. There are also nature parks, which we analyzed as part of a collaboration with the Federation of Nature Parks of Wallonia to transform forest paths to make them accessible to people with special needs. And 8 nature parks have been certified in Wallonia. Finally, we are working on 2 new methodologies. First of all, the first one is the working tours. People with special needs are more and more interested in going for a walk in nature. And the second one is the adventure parks, We are wondering if people with special needs would be interested in going to an adventure park, and that's what we are studying right now. You have to know that our methodologies are not set in stone, of course. They are updated according to the feedback of the field and the evolution of the needs. Last but not least in this presentation, last year, thanks to our biggest partners, Tourism Wallonia and Diavik, we worked on a huge project that took us a lot of time, the creation of a new digitally accessible website for all types of disability. So our website is now accessible with any speech synthesis tool, contrast and zoom function, easy to read and understand, videos in sign language, and so on. It was all well and good to want to inform 7 groups with disability about the accessibility of a location, but if our website, which is the basis of everything, was not accessible itself, it was complicated. That's why we decided to remake everything. So our new website has been officially online since May 15, 2025, and we are quite proud of it. So this is the end of my presentation, and thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Axelle. I think you answered to my questions. Do you have any question more? Okay, thank you. The next speaker, Dejan. Okay, very good. Okay, Dejan Ristić is a consultant with Ljubljana Tourism, working on sustainable and accessible infrastructure and destination management. Dejan, please, could you share 1 or 2 key changes in Ljubljana in terms of infrastructures or policies that have made the biggest difference for accessibility?
Thank you. So I think if we take a look at Ljubljana 15 years ago, it was a car-first city. And then with the turning of the city center just for pedestrian area, now the biggest one in Europe, the city became much, much more accessible to all of us. And then working together with with NGOs and accessibility groups. So those are the 2 biggest changes that made that effect. So I'd like to present you our case study about a project that we did in Ljubljana in the last 2 years. But first of all, I'm interested, have any of you visited Ljubljana already? Quite a few. There's still large room for improvement, but let's take a look how Ljubljana looks, how it feels maybe. So a short video mostly focusing on accessibility. Otherwise, it was part of European Capital of Smart Tourism competition that we made a video for. So this is just a few photos of how Ljubljana looked 15 years ago and how it looks now. So this is one of the main streets. This is one of the squares just in the city center that was a parking lot. Now a place for cultural events, just open city square. And the triple bridge right in the heart of the city center, where there was just buses driving around, cars driving around. So when you took some family and friends came to visit you, it was almost impossible to take a picture without cars in the background. And it was not safe at all to talk about. Some streets you couldn't get past by a stroller or on wheelchair without being afraid that bus would hit you, because there were narrow streets. So 15 years ago, the city center was closed down for pedestrians. There were first some negative responses from the restaurant owners, coffee shops, and partners working in the city center. They thought their business is going to die if we close it for the cars, because it was car first mentality in Ljubljana. Completely opposite thing happened, and tourism started booming, not just in Ljubljana, but the whole Slovenia. So we went from 1 million overnights to 3 million overnights in the last 10 years. So those changes took strategic thinking, strategic approach, but will also needed some new adjustments. So when the city closed, elder people visiting the city, going to the central market, or people with disabilities had problem moving around. So we bought Ljubljana Tourism from the tourism tax, bought the first 2 electrical carts, the golf carts, to move around in the city center. And there were 2 different types. And one thing that we noticed talking to our public transportation company is elder people always called for the number 1. So Cavalier number 1. And we couldn't find out why. So we started asking people, and the difference was 10 centimeters. The number 2 was higher for 10 centimeters. Something that people without disabilities didn't notice. 10 centimeters doesn't mean a lot when you lift your leg, but for elder people, people with disabilities, is meant a lot. So that was the approach, that why we decided to buy just the lower ones, and now we have a whole fleet. First one, the open ones, now we have the closed ones as well, like the one on the picture. And they are free to use in the city center, also in the cemetery, and at the clinical center area. So Ljubljana city, at the time of closing the city down for pedestrians, founded the Council for the Removal of Architectural and Communication barriers, which consist of the members like city administration officers, Tourism Ljubljana, city wardens, transportation company, but also NGOs and people with disabilities. So agencies or associations of people with disabilities. We meet 2 to 3 times per year, talking about what's happening in the city, what are the city plans, what are we doing, what we did, what are the results, and so on. So it's an open discussion. We don't have an executive power, but we are consulting our mayor on the needs and changes. So am I in the way? So it's all about raising awareness of things that are happening. And one of the example of that was changing the Cavaliers from to buying more Cavalier number 1s. It was open dialogue between us at the council. So prior to, it's working quite well. So before 2021, we have different strategic documents. It was strategic action plans for people, elder generation, for people with disabilities, and different action plans for different disabilities types. By 2020, we started working on a project called Ljubljana Accessible to All that combined all of those documents into one document and started working on universal accessibility. So focusing that area and the city we built is accessible to all. That was that is concluding this year, and we made a new strategic plan, Ljubljana's accessibility strategic plan, that cooperates and combines accessibility for all stakeholders in Ljubljana. So it's about education, it's about working together, it's about different projects that we are going to do by year 2032. So what's our role? The first role is conducting audits and education of our workers at the Tourist Information Center, at the local DMO, but also stakeholders from tourism sector. The second one is communicating accessibility through tourism channels. We have a strong presence on social media, on our website, on TikTok, Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram, and so on. So it's about communicating the offer. And the third was upgrading the Visit Ljubljana platform to be more accessible, but also to communicate the accessibility offer through it. So the story behind the 450 numbers. We did 450 audits on hotels, restaurants, museum, attraction, venues over the last 3 years. We did surveys, interviews, on-site expert evaluation with our partners that gave out personal reports and improvement recommendation to all 450 audited sites. We then followed it up with workshops, consultations, and made an accessibility filter on visitljubljana.com. So how it started? Into 2022, we did first 170 surveys. The first thing we did, and was quite hard, was selecting the right partners. There were around 4 different consulting companies in Ljubljana working on accessibility, from public institutes to private companies. And it was selecting the right balance, what we wanted to do. We didn't want to scare our partners in the private sector, like hotels, that they have to do all the renovation of the hotels. But we wanted to empower them, to educate them what accessibility is and what do they have to do. So they were quite afraid of accessibility. So the first thing was selecting the right partner. The second was doing the surveys. So first was online and mobile phone survey, and only 10% of our partners from tourism sector responded to online survey. So, and out of those 10%, I think 70% are museums, galleries, so public institutions. I think just 5% of all restaurants and coffee shops owners responded to the surveys. So it was calling them multiple times and then going on site visits. So what we found out, accessibility is best adapted for physically disabled visitors all across the sectors. The best was in museums, attractions. So the the public sector had the best improvements. Visually and hearing impaired accessibility was really limited. What we found out, it was quite expected, because everyone can see people on wheelchairs and know what kind of disabilities that they have. But for visually or hearing impaired, it's really not something that we talk a lot, that we see and can feel. Major challenges were the heritage protected buildings, lack of strict staff training, and partial knowledge on accessibility needs. When we told the hotels what they have to do, they were like, okay, we expected we have to change the whole room like a medical room, to be like medical room. And that's not something that you need to do. And they said, okay, we transform one room. We have pretty much empty room throughout the whole season. And we're like, okay, let's work together what you have to improve, that everyone can use it. Let's work on universal accessibility. So what were common recommendations? Ramps, lifts, contrast marking, tactical sign, staff training, mobile hearing loops. So those quite simple changes. But there was one thing that was really positive. Around 90%, 88 to 90% of all the staff were really positive about the changes. They wanted and were willing to change and improve their accessibility offer. But there was systematic support was missing. There were no funds for that, as accessibility in tourism is something that Ministry of Tourism is not covering, Ministry of Culture not that much, and then the medical ministry and so on. So it's not a team that is well covered in Slovenia, I would say. So we realized we need to scale the audits, offer training and consultancy, integrate accessibility into digital tools, and reward improvements with visibility on our site, but also through media. There was one app that we did before 2019. It was Ljubljana by Wheelchair. It focused on accessibility for people on wheelchairs, but it was not regularly updated and was not covering different accessibilities. So we decided we'll move that on our website. But prior to that, yeah. So like we said, from 117 first year, we did 415, but not just in Ljubljana, we spread to Ljubljana region. So there's 25 municipalities surrounding Ljubljana, and Ljubljana Tourism works not just as a local DMO, but regional destination management organization. So we're spreading the knowledge and doing educational workshops also in the region, not just in the city center. And this is how we remodeled our website. So when you just search for the points of interest, you can select by accessibility, and it then demonstrate which points are museums are accessible, coffee shops are accessible, restaurants are accessible, but also when you click on that point of interest, it says exactly what kind of accessibility improvements do they have. Is the toilet accessible, or is just the entrance accessible? That was the important thing that we found out when we committed the first or conducted the first online surveys. There was it was worse results than they were on-site visits, because people and the owners were scared of communicating their accessibility offer, because they said, okay, if I say we are accessible, maybe someone will come and see we are not accessible. And we wanted to empower them to say, okay, just say your entrance is accessible or your toilet is accessible. Be clear about what accessibility is in your place, and then we'll adjust. We'll communicate that, and everyone can select, okay, I want to go to this place or I don't want to go to that place. So that was something that we have done in the recent years. So how others can replicate the model? It's quite easy. It's quite cheap. Over the 3 years, we spent around 30,000 euros on promotion, on on the audits, on the training, consulting. So quite cheap project over the scale of 3 to 4 years, but it's spread already to 4 regions because of that. We pay Ljubljana Tourism pays the audits, so our partners don't have to cover any costs. The important is to work between DMOs, city, NGOs, experts to provide the feedback back to the partners. So when our experts go on field, they visit the place, they see what's not accessible, what is accessible, they write a report to us saying what we need to improve our own website, but also send a list to our partners saying what they have to improve and how to improve it and where to buy things and so on. A perfect example of that is mobile ramps, because most of our partners in the city center thought they have to build concrete city ramps to their entrances, but there's mobile ramps that are quite cheap nowadays. So we also did education and awareness campaigns. This is from Tourism Makes Ljubljana. It's a campaign towards residents in the city center that we want to address what tourism brings to the municipality. That tourism is a positive force of change. And we were saying tourism makes Ljubljana more accessible. By making a tourist offer for tourists more accessible, we are making it also for us living in Ljubljana. Then the other was collaboration with travel influencer and journalists, focusing on accessible tourism. Here's a photo of Katarina sitting in the front row that visited Ljubljana. You can tell from first-hand experience how was it visiting Ljubljana, what's good and what's not. And then it was contributing to a project called Contributor Gesture, where we co-created around 140 words in Slovene sign language. Because we use much more words that are in sign language for Slovene population. So we wanted to do them on tourism level, mostly for just filling out the Slovene gesture vocabulary, Slovene language vocabulary, but also for educational, because we are going to use this on social media to empower, to address, to educate people, raise awareness about the project. And what's the impact? 4 Slovenian regions were following. We improved our accessibility of the tourist information centers and museums by hearing loops, by ramps. You can rent free electrical wheelchair or add on to your wheelchair at Ljubljana Tourism Center. And it reinforced collaboration between public and private sector. And I'd like to conclude my presentation with one thought that I heard on Green Destinations conference last week in Montpellier. When asked how they use data to change, what are examples, how you use data to change work in tourism. And Yuka from Helsinki, which is the leading destination on tourism, said, maybe you don't use it right now. You see the data and use it and change it, but it's something that sticks to your at the back of your mind. And next time you're doing a project, you're thinking about it. And I think it's the same with accessibility. It's hearing, it's talking about it, it's reading about it, it's working on it. That the next time you're doing a project, you're taking it prior to doing a project, not just post-factum. Thank you.
Very much. Do you have any questions for him? Okay.
Regenerative tourism or sustainable tourism, which you showed a lot of pictures of how there's lots of cars, how there's no cars. So it has to be social inclusion, right? Is the framework in which it was done?
We've been focusing on accessibility of the city for years now. Ljubljana's won awards for Access City, was second on Access City Award. 2 times and once in 2023 we were third. Last week we had an influencer working on accessible tourism, and she said, you're doing a lot for the residents, not focusing on tourism that much. And she was spot on with that. We are doing a lot for our residents, but tourism aspect is something that we've been doing in the last years. So it's improving the city. And now we are thinking, not in the scope of regenerative, of sustainable, or any kind of that tourism, but it's one of the strategic goals of the municipality to be more accessible.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next one is Jaume. Hi, Jaume. Yes, please. Okay. Jaume, I ask you, as we are late, I ask you to be a little bit quick. Thank you very much. Jaume Mata is head of sustainable tourism for the city of Valencia, where he leads the long-term accessibility strategy and inclusive destination plan. I have a question for you. Jaume, can you tell us how this complete strategy helps Valencia become a true model of accessible tourism? Yes.
Yeah, right? Good. Well, thank you for inviting us to share our experience, our work on this field. And I will say that we're not trying to be a model, right? Well, some bosses, some in the city, they want to be models of everything. But I mean, the basics is to be coherent and to be social responsible and to be aligned with our community. This is what I'm a head of sustainable tourism, and that's the biggest challenge now, to be coherent and to align our strategies with the community, not only with the travel industry or sector or what the consular wants. So what we are trying to do is to align everything and to compare, to learn, to share, And that's why we're inviting our tourists to come to the city and to be with us. We are hosts. We are not an industry. We are a community. That's different in urban destinations, maybe, from other places. So that's why we're trying to get all these frameworks, this strategy that I wanted to share with you. I will fly above our frameworks, our strategy, and to give you concrete, clear examples of what we are doing, because we are always learning from what you're doing, and we'll try to inspire somebody to get ahead on this field, on this pathway. So first of all, let me introduce need this. Let me check. Is that one? The other one? This one? The other one? Okay, I learned. Right. Good. Valencia, where about? I'm not asking you if you've been there. I'm not expecting that. But Valencia is the third city of Spain. Just to give you some data, some scope. We are the third city of Spain. We are 1.5 million people living in the metropolitan area. We are like Torino, more or less, 800,000 people living in the city. And we had 6 million overnights last year. And this is increasing. We've been working on tourism since almost 30 years. And this is increasing. And this is reaching a good number. And it's giving impacts and pressure. So that's why we're trying to deal with how to promote the city, but how to compensate, how to avoid these social impacts, these environmental impacts that we are provoking. So Visit Valencia. We are a foundation. We are a PPP organization. We are presented by the city. We've got 500 companies and organizations working with us. So we are in the middle of the value chain, and we are trying to integrate both the cities, the communities, and the sector wishes. And that's not easy, but it means this gives us somehow the opportunity to get everything embraced and to get a common ground for everybody. So that's why we are trying to promote this strategy, and it's landing on clear examples, and we are getting some goals with all the community, the municipality, and the industry all together. The framework is that we've got this integrated approach that we are trying to clearly determine and to write what's our strategic plan. It's accessibility in it. We are talking about sustainability. Is accessibility is meaning social sustainability. It's in it, and how to write everything and how to describe it, how to get some goals, and how to get some clear actions, and meaning also financing, how to long-term, short-term, etc. Good. And you will find some common grounds. I found it this morning. We are talking all the cases we are here about smart tourism and green tourism. We've been a European smart capital the year 2022. Thanks also because we were approaching the social sustainability, and we were the European green capital last year also, and we made a difference. We were the first Mediterranean green capital, meaning that it's not easy to be green there, because we don't have so much water. The rain, when it comes, and it's damaging our land instead of having all these green landscapes. So what we were introducing is that we wanted to include on this green capital, green sustainable European capital, the term of being accessible, sustainable, inclusive. And we made it in our plan and clear actions. So for instance, the city created this general directorate for accessible and for handicapped people, or well, I don't know the terms in English maybe. So I'm sorry about that if I'm wrong. But what they did was integrating all the different entities, NGOs in the city to assess them and to make all these consultancies. So we are creating this working group on the city, talking about not about accessibility, but about tourism accessibility. And so we are taking profit of this this framework, this municipal framework, and it helps. We've got the right people on our team. And then, well, going to the paper written in black and white, we've got these strategic lines, and these strategic lines, these 5 strategic lines about integration. The city strategy is talking about tourism, it's talking about accessibility, and it's talking also about tourism and accessibility, which is not always the same. We are trying to plan and manage in the tourism sector, in the companies, to learn and to know how to do it, to get all the synergies, and to promote. And it was said this morning, working on accessibility is not a cost, it's an opportunity, and it's a right that we stress always. It's a right for our customers, it's a right for your employees, so you have to. It's not volunteer anymore. So, and then, as I said, it's an opportunity for our destination. If we are ahead of accessibility, we will be more competitive than others. So let's go ahead. And these 5 strategic lines are written in 5 actions. So we have to design and implement these training programs. People, our companies, the SMEs, they don't know about it. When you talk about sustainability, they're scared about, means cost for them. When you're talking about accessibility, it means, oh, works. No, I can't. If you explain and you speak the same language as they do, you will save people, you will attract more clients, and you will be more efficient. They accept, and if you get them the right way to, there are fundings for, if you look for it, there are fundings somewhere in the public institutions. So take the profit for it. So, and we are picking our ambassadors, and it's working. But we have to create these toolkits, these guidelines to let them learn and to let them to go ahead by themselves. You can't be always on their offices, but if you create these toolkits, well, they always can access and they are doing their homework, if I can say that. So our information materials, our digital resources has to be adapted, and I will give you some examples as how we are doing that. All our promotional communications has to be adapted, and we are doing that. And finally, it was said this morning also, indicators. We need data for management, for destination management, for the company's management, etc. We have to monitor. We did that in sustainable terms for carbon footprint, water footprint. We are already calculating that, and we're giving this data to the managers so they can take the appropriate decisions in the right time, this with sustainable accessibility. So very fast, some examples for designing and implementation of awareness raising. Well, we are doing training in the tourism sector. We are promoting these best practices, because once there is a pioneer, all of them will follow. So you have to reinforce them. We have to improve the reception of tourists, and all of them contribute to positioning Valencia as a tourist destination, as a more accessible and attractive tourist destination. Training sections, well, we're doing this opportunities. There was in a museum that was leading the example of how cultural centers are adapting, are doing all these changes to be more accessible. We are doing these training sessions to our companies. They are for free, and we bring experts, we bring consultants, we bring the NGOs, all the local administrators to say, okay, this is the guy or this is the girl who can help you. Get their phone and follow the work. And toolkits and guidelines to facilitate implementation. Well, we are doing these materials. Okay, that's, for instance, we're working with Ilunion, with Tamara, she's here. We're working with them, with our consultants, with our experts to create these materials so we can provide them the materials to say, okay, you have to follow this checklist, you have to follow these indicators. And we are doing this approach. We are rest very much on digital tools, and you explained, you've shown this morning. We're doing this self-assessment supported by a digital platform. Then we validate the results to the companies, and this data will be supported and will be the information that we provide to our customers, classified by what kind of disability or what kind of requirement you have, what do you need, what do you want, etc. Everything will be classified, will be open, and will be updated, and will deliver indicators to the city and to each of them, and we will provide them their roadmap to improve in every field they need to do it. So this is paid by us. We already have 300 people, 300 companies, and we have provided this also to the city to tell them, okay, your museums and monuments should be there. Please work on that. So that's also homework for them. And on the third, we have this visitor experience in the planning. They need to have clear and reliable information. So we have applied all these changes and improvements to our website, which is fully accessible, and all these hubs you can get. So everybody will have the opportunity to enjoy the joy of coming to Valencia. Nobody can say, okay, I didn't get the information. We're trying to get it. And we've applied this, the easy reading, for instance. We have created this guide. If you want to organize an accessible event, you've got the guide, and you want to get the data on the festivities or the festival, you've got it, and the organizers have it. These are our brand new tourist offices. They have been removed, and they have been renewed, and this is the layout that we have in the info, in the tourist info, and they are all of them certified. Okay. The fourth line of action, it's to promote the image, to ensure all this communication, and to get all, for instance, beaches. Well, if you want to get to a beach, depending on the season of the year, you will get it in our website, which is applied from the city. We also apply this Navilens system, not only for the transport, which is fully accessible already, but to all the museums and monuments in the city. We'll use it, so it's a good advance. And then we did that for the green capital. We have a beach, a large park, which is almost 9 kilometers away, which used to be the old riverbed. You know, we have floods. The river was diverted, and it was converted and transformed in a river and in a garden, which is a challenge for people with some disabilities. So what we try is to research and to analyze and to really draw and design the pathway so you can enjoy the big natural part, the big garden that we have in the city. We connects all the city, it traverses everything. So we did it, and we delivered that to the city, who is implementing the new signage to all kind of the disabilities. So it's an ongoing project. And then the indicators that we are trying to get all this data to analyze, to get data improvements, both for the city and for the industry. And that's what we're getting from this new platform that we are implementing now. So we work with the consultants to get it in the 5 kind of cases that we have. Visual, if you have reduced mobility, if you are going with kids, for instance, also this information is also interesting. So all kind of information will be on the platform and will be on our dashboard. And well, finally, I'm almost finishing. National, local coordination with working group and with national entities, international benchmarking is always so important to learn from you, to get info, to get providers, to get intelligence is also very important. So that's part of our role. And to finish, I'll show you briefly my city. Can we play the video? Shall I?
Can you imagine arriving in Valencia and having to stop? Don't worry, that could only happen in fiction. The reality is that Valencia is an incredible city, constantly moving, prepared and adapted so that everyone can experience it without limits. Because in Valencia, we are fully committed to universal accessibility in all types of spaces. How about we take a stroll through Valencia and I show you?
Never slow. Make 'em whoa. Watch me go. Watch me go. Never slow. Make 'em whoa. Watch me go. Ready, set, go.
Valencia is a unique city, a city to enjoy, regardless of your physical, sensory, or cognitive limitations. An extraordinary place, ready to offer you an unforgettable experience tailored to you. Because Valencia has everything, except for limits.
Go.
Thank you very much, Jaume. Do you have any questions? Okay. I want to thank you to our speakers for sharing their experiences, works, and interesting best practices. We can say that inclusive tourism benefits visitors, businesses, and communities. Thank you to everyone. Thank you for your attention, and enjoy the rest of the World Summit on Accessible Tourism. Goodbye.